What's up, everybody? Coach Mills here, coming at you with a brand new Valorant video. And in this video, we need to talk about 8 characters that are either broken or trash in patch 5.04 and changes that need to happen, whether it's buffs or nerfs or characters that might secretly be broken. There's a lot we gotta talk about, but the GameLeap website's the best place to dominate, pop off, and climb with tips, tricks, guides, and VOD reviews showing you exactly what you need to do and how the pros play these characters at a top level, and you can too. Do yourself a favor, go check it out right now down below. Now, there's a number of different characters in the game that are either very, very strong and the stats show it, they're breaking into seeing a lot more play and might be secretly strong, or they are underpowered and they need buffs in some way. And we're gonna go through quite a few of them and talk about what changes have been made, what changes maybe need to be made, and are these characters broken or trash in this new video segment. Now, first off, let's talk about Chamber. Is he broken or is he trash? Remember, he got a ton of nerfs recently. You know, the radius was changed. He's more punished now. If you destroy his TP, he can't teleport as much. And his headhunter is very expensive. There's a lot about Chamber that got changed. Is he trash now or is he broken? Now, honestly, the verdict is out here and he's still freaking broken. Now, that pistol round is not as dominated by Chamber, and ecos in general are more brutal on Chamber, which is all a good thing because Chamber's good at everything else. He's good in every rifle round. He's good in like a number of different rounds because he just saves so much money just by opping. If he gets a lot of kills in the rifle rounds, he just gets to op for free and he can snowball that and snowball that economy. So there's a lot of the economic snowball part of Chamber that is hurt now, but the character is still very, very good at doing what he's always done, which is fight in a certain situation or location, get out safely. He still has his op that fires at the speed of freaking sound. Honestly, Chamber is still broken. We're gonna see more data after Champions, knowing how much Chamber actually moves in pick rate, but according to many of the pros, according to pretty much all play of Chamber so far that we know of, Chamber is not gonna be that heavily affected, and he's still gonna be very powerful. And it leaves many wondering if this character still needs more nerfs. I still think that they should target his sniper rifle in some way. Maybe give him 2 bullets, let him, every single time he gets a kill, he gets another bullet. I think that's a pretty balanced change that is less forgiving for missing shots. But you tell me, how would you change Chamber to make him, you know, not as broken? Let me know. Next character we're gonna talk about is Neon. Is she broken or is she trash? Neon has been seeing, you know, play here or there, but recently she got a big buff where she now gets amplified damage if she gets headshots. And what's the verdict on her ultimate now? And the reality of the situation is if an enemy can track your head as Neon, they're killing you almost instantly with her ultimate. And that's so strong as players' abilities scale. Now, Neon is a character that works best when you have players that could set her up. Specifically, Neon and Breach work hand in hand. There's other characters that can work really well with her, like Skye, for instance, but Neon and Breach are like bread and butter. And I do think that the Neon Breach meta on Fracture is going to become more and more ingrained. We're already seeing it a lot in pro play, and we're going to see it a lot just in general. And I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see Neon even more on maps where Breach also sees play, like Haven, for instance. So are we entering a stage where Neon might be broken? Maybe so. I would say she's far closer to broken than she is to trash, and she's really in a good spot right now. And I do think a lot of that is because Breach is really good, and I don't necessarily think Neon would see a ton of play without Breach, but in this meta where Breach is played on a ton of these maps, Neon is going to be played as well. So yeah. Next up, we got to talk about KO. Is KO broken or is KO trash? I mean, this one's pretty obvious. KO is broken, and he might be too broken. KO's mollies, the fact that it can actually deal damage through walls, it doesn't need line of sight anymore, is a huge nerf to characters like Killjoy. You could kill her lockdown very easily. And it's just honestly busted. I mean, let's say you're trying to retake, for instance. Retake freaking Ascent A, and you molly the high ground, and there's an enemy underneath. The KO molly will kill them underneath. And you don't even know they're there, necessarily. You can clear people through walls and things like that, and that's just ridiculous. But that's not even what makes KO broken. KO is a character that will get stronger and stronger. The more and more abilities get strong, the better and better KO gets. The fact is he has a very powerful flash. He's like an initiator flex duelist. And the reality of the situation is KO is seeing more and more play every single freaking episode. And I wouldn't be surprised if eventually he's one of those must-pick characters. It's looking that way unless we see characters with abilities that do something similar, like KO, other disable abilities. I can't imagine KO ever gets any weaker, and he only gets better and better as time goes on and abilities get more and more powerful. Next up, we gotta talk about Yoru. Is Yoru trash or is he broken? We've seen Yoru see sporadic play in pro play and of course consistent play in ranked, and for ranked he's a very difficult play to master, but there's a lot of players that can climb very, very high with Yoru. He has a huge skill ceiling, maybe the highest skill ceiling in the entire game, and he is a character that players are still innovating with. Now with pro play, we've seen him to mixed results. Many teams are not getting that much value out of him, but I don't think we've seen the perfect use for Yoru. I think that to play him solo in ranked is a lot easier than trying to find a way to fit him into a team. That doesn't mean he can't fit into a team, I just think it requires even more skill and coordination, and we just haven't seen that yet. I think as of right now, he's erring on the side of broken for high ranked when the skill is there, but he's erring on trash for pro play. But that could easily change. I just don't think that Yoru is a solved agent yet, not even close. And I could imagine a point in the future where Yoru is, completely busted. We'll just have to wait and see on that one. But I do think that the buffs and the rework that Yoru got was a huge success. And regardless of where he ends up, he is a very loved character in a good spot for the foreseeable future. Next up, we gotta talk about Cypher. Is he broken or is he trash? We just saw Masters Copenhagen, the final map on Breeze, not only had no chamber, but we had Sugetsu pop off and get a 4K on Cypher, leaving many to say, hey, Cypher's still good, right? Wrong, unfortunately. This was one of the few times Cypher was played the entire tournament, and has actually been one of the few times Cypher has been played period. Cypher is a very unpopular character in ranked play and pro play alike. And honestly, every single Cypher main will tell you that this character needs buffs. It's a character also on the radar of Riot themselves. That means that Cypher is in the trash category, unfortunately, but I do think that not only will some more nerfs to chamber help reel Cypher up in pick rate, but I think some nice buffs, maybe making some of his abilities cheaper, would be nice for his overall pick rate. But you tell me, does Cypher need just quality of life buffs, or would you rather them super buff in some way or rework part of his kit? Let me know down below. Next up on broken or trash, we have Killjoy. Killjoy, what is she looking like after the chamber nerfs? Well, it's unclear how hurt chamber will be post nerfs, but the reality of the situation is with KO's mollies acting the way they do, and the fact that Killjoy is basically being outshined by Chamber, even in his nerf state, it doesn't look like Killjoy would see play anywhere besides Ascent. It's looking like Killjoy is real trash right now. And honestly, if you wanted to make Killjoy meta, or at least more playable, you need to really increase the range that she could be away from her utility and it be still active. You really limit her ability to lurk, make plays, or basically just operate at all because her turret turns off if you get too far away. And that's just such a really big tell because enemies know you're there and you don't really get a lot of value and you can't really drift to different sides of the map based on your game sense. And there's just a lot you can't do on the character. It just doesn't really make that much sense. And I think that would be the first place that they should actually change if they really want to address Killjoy. Gone are the days where Killjoy was too picked and too powerful, and even if you revert her back to the way she was before, it's not like we're all of a sudden gonna see a Killjoy meta again anytime soon, especially with Chamber at the top of the meta. Next off, we gotta talk about the two initiators, Fade and Sova. Both of them are still battling out for pick rate, but we're seeing more and more Fade pop up, and it's leaving many to wonder, will Sova eventually completely fall out of the meta? Is that the future for Sova? Is Fade just far and away better? But we're seeing a little bit of correction. Fade basically completely blew Sova out of the water, and then in recent results, Sova is starting to eat a little bit back at that pick rate. I could imagine a situation where we see both Fade and Sova depending on the map, and there's a lot of argument to be made that you could play both of these together. I think neither of these are trash, and both of these are broken in their own way, and honestly, Fade and Sova seem to be in a really healthy spot right now. Remember though, that the double initiator meta and even the triple initiator meta is in large part due to the dominance of Chamber. When you have an operator based character or a character that is incredibly good at holding a sightline down and you need to force him off with his teleport, you need initiators that can force him off with his teleport and gather that information. And it is unclear if we'll see this many initiators in the meta post a chamber meta, if the chamber nerfs are enough to make an impact at all, or if future nerfs come down the line and make an impact there. So we'll have to wait and see on that one, but for now, it's looking like Fade and Silva are still going to be battling it out through champions. Last up, we do got to talk about Phoenix. Phoenix just received some pretty big buffs to a lot of his abilities, including his flash and his ultimate, but was it enough? Well, for ranked, this is all good stuff for Phoenix. We're seeing a lot of Phoenix play go up based on pick rate, and his win rate is going up as well. That being said, many believe that this is not enough to make a dent in pro play. We've watched a couple of pros experiment with Phoenix, trying to farm orbs specifically on a map like Ascent, but we haven't really seen great results on the character. The reality of the situation is there's a lot of duelists that are more appealing than Phoenix, and in the current meta, duelists aren't really that appealing at all. In addition to that, Phoenix is a character that doesn't truly specialize in anything. Like, he basically has a very balanced kit where he can clear a cubby, he can wall himself into a point, and he can flash himself into a point. But when you think about from a pro perspective, you would rather your other character set that up for you, and then you have ability to actually create plays when they do set that up for you. In a pro level, that makes more sense than having a character that can set up themselves, but then you have less flexibility while you're inside the fight. Like, think about a character like Jett. If the Jett character gets some information with the drone, gets a flash with breach, goes in, that Jett has a lot of flexibility with her own smokes, with maybe her dash, potentially her updraft, but Phoenix not so much. If he sets himself up, it doesn't really give him a lot of flexibility inside the fight. Now, that doesn't mean that Phoenix is bad if you can't trust your team to help you go in and set you up, but when we're talking about a pro level, Phoenix might be a character that won't see substantial pro play no matter how much you buff the current abilities, and if you wanted him to see pro play, he might need a rework in some way. But you tell me, how do you feel about Phoenix, and where would you buff him from here to turn him from trash to broken in pro play if that was your goal? Let me know down below, and let me know what other characters you think are broken or trash in patch 5.04. What characters do you think need buffs or nerfs? Let me know down below. Thank you so much for coming by. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you later.